Hi guys, I hope you guys are safe at home in quarantine, but don't forget to subscribe here at Fino Boxing and follow my personal one at Adriana_sports. And guess what? We're gonna knock out this coronavirus. Bop, bop, bop.
How's everybody doing here with title contender Gary Spike O'Sullivan? Good to see you all the way from Ireland. I know we're going through a difficult time right now with COVID-19. How have you been handling the situation?
Well, I've just been trying to stay as positive as always, like I always do in life. Just try to take the positive things out of everything. My partner, she works in the front lines, so she's busy at work. I'm at home with the kids, and trying to keep fit as I can. Tipping away out the back, doing her weights, and when she gets back in the evenings, go for runs and got a bag here, so I've been working in the bag. And my daughter asked me recently. No, I asked her. I said, "Well, I think she'd like to do most." And she told me she'd like to bake cake. So I could never baked cake in my life. So uh, Google that and find out how to do it. And so I've been making lots of cakes with her recently, and I'm good. Just staying positive as possible, and keeping the kids in.
Yeah, definitely. So I see you taking advantage of the time that there's no boxing going on now. I know Golden Boy has mentioned about possibly returning back in July. We last saw you in action early on, right, part of the year against Jaime Munguia. Do you know when you could come back and put up another show?
I'm not sure what the exact plan is with Golden Boy. I know they've been speaking about fighting in July and maybe August. So I'm waiting on them to contact me and see what fight I get offered. I'm trying to make the Teixeria fight. That's the fight I'm interested in. I've had many fights at middleweight, which I think, you know, but Billy Joe Saunders, Chris Eubank Jr., Mew, and recently Jaime Munguia. But I think I've earned my chance to fight at my proper weight division, the junior middleweight division. I've never lost a fight in all my career at junior middleweight, so I don't think that would change if I fight Teixeira. I will achieve my goal of becoming the world champion.
Yeah, definitely. That's everyone's dream to become a world champion. You mentioned the Brazilian Patrick Teixeira, who has the WBO belt at 154 pounds. So that's the fight that's kind of been rumored. That's the fight that you won at 154 pounds, without a doubt.
Absolutely, that's the only fight I want. I've had 34 fights. I've had many eliminators and domestic fights over the years, and I think, as I say, I've earned my right to have a shot at the champion at my proper weight division. And we've exchanged a few messages, me and Teixeira, on social media. He said to me he would end my career. I replied back to him by a video, and the very next night, and he hasn't replied to my video, even though he was the one that said to me he'd end my career. But I think he had time to think about that, and I think he's been a bit of a bitch, and he wants to try and hang on to his title. And I think if he faces me, he knows that he won't be able to hold on to the title. So I think he's trying to avoid me, because the very next night he tried to take the attention elsewhere and call out other fighters. So I believe he's certainly been a bit of a coward, and letting down the Brazilian tradition of being fighting men like us Irish. And I think he's embarrassing the Brazilian fans.
Yeah, so you think he's maybe taking back his words a little bit? He kind of at first wanted to fight you, but now he's having second doubts in your opinion. We know what you bring to the table, come forward style, always put up a good show, win, lose, or draw. You're always an attraction. We saw he was in a brutal war with Carlos Adames to get that world title. If you do get that matchup, how do you see this fight playing out?
I think Patrick thinks the same thing. I think maybe he hadn't watched so much of me, and when he sent me the message saying he'd end my career, but when I responded to him, I think he might have checked into me a little bit more and watched a few of my fights. And I think I have a little bit similar style to Curtis Stevens, who knocked out Teixeira, and I think he thought, yeah, this is not the right fight for me, and so therefore he didn't respond to me, and he tried to go elsewhere and draw the attention elsewhere. So that's how I feel about that.
Well, hopefully we do get to see this matchup. I mean, especially you coming down to 154, where you said, you're unbeaten at that weight class. Obviously, you are 5'9", 5'10", so you might be, on the smaller size for middleweight. So it kind of makes sense for that aspect. Speaking about middleweights, I know you had a brutal war with Jaime Munguia. There was some low blows from him early on, and also some rapid punches. Do you think that affected the outcome? And obviously, at the end of the 11th round when the fight got stopped, do you think that took a toll?
Absolutely. I had a dead leg towards the end of the fight, to be honest. I more fell over than was knocked over. I felt like I continued to fight. My trainer threw in the towel. He thought the referee was going to maybe stop the fight because he'd been more favourable than Mungia's side throughout the fight. I thought with all the low blows, maybe he could have been kicked out. They were continuous. I think the ref was on his side, and my corner didn't want the referee to have the opportunity to stop the fight, so they threw it in the towel instead. I kicked the towel out immediately. I wanted to continue the fight. I think another thing, if the fight had happened at junior middle at 154 pounds, I would have certainly won. I think he's a bigger man than me, and I'm sure he outweighed me significantly as well on the fight. But yeah, I think it could have been different if he hadn't. He's a very good fighter. Obviously, he's undefeated, etc. He's world champion. I think the low blows certainly were a factor in the fight.
Yeah, well, we definitely, he's still he's still pretty young and learning. We saw your fellow countryman Dennis Hogan, lose a close fight against him as well. Him now going up to middleweight. Do you think he has the abilities, knowing that you've been there with the main guys at middleweight, Chris Eubanks, like you mentioned, and Mew? Do you think he has the tools to compete for a world title at that weight class?
I think he could. I think he has. He's a good fighter, and there'll be tough fights at that level. Everybody is capable of beating each other. I think I potentially could beat all of them as well myself, but unfortunately for me, I'm just that bit smaller than all of them, and they weigh a lot heavier than me on the night, and I think it's obviously not a good thing for me. I think I'm best off certainly at a junior middleweight for myself. So that's where I want to campaign from now on, in the immediate future, anyway, at least, and I want to become world champion and fight at junior middleweight.
Yeah, well, the junior middleweight division is stacked with talent. Besides Patrick Teixeira, who could be a possible opponent, there's Jason Rosario, who has 2 belts, and also Jamal Charlo. If that fight with Teixeira can happen, do you see yourself pushing to get those other fights and get a crack at those other world titles?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to fight for a world title next. I've had all these eliminators against these bigger men like Billy Joe Saunders, Chris Eubank Jr., Lemieux, and Munguia. So I want to pursue the light middleweight division. As I said, I've never lost a fight in that division, but I think the most easy fight to make is Teixeira because we're both promoted by Golden Boy Promotions. I've held numerous middleweight WBO titles myself. He's with the WBO, and he also he's been back and forth with me on social media saying he would end my career. So I think I'd like to fight him, and I very much doubt he'd be able to do that.
Yeah, it could definitely be a perfect matchup. Just like you mentioned, you were the WBO Intercontinental Champion, so it makes sense to fight for that title. Just if we could go back a few years ago, fight fans, especially here in the U.S., were intrigued when you were going to get the Gennady Golovkin fight. It kind of fell apart at the end. He fought Vanes Martirosyan, and then he fought Steve Rose. Is that a fight that you think, man, it kind of got away where you maybe wanted to face a Golovkin?
Absolutely. I really wanted that fight, but Golden Boy Promotions, they were very good to me, and they gave me an alternative path, and financially it was the right thing for my family, and so that's what I had to do. Just I'm here to look after my family, and but I've done all that, and I just want to fight for the world title now, and as well at my proper weight. Golovkin as well is a bigger man than me, but I'd fight him tomorrow morning as well. That way, I never back out of a fight. I never turned down a fight. I fought all the good fighters, the best fighters around. But I want to fight at my right weight division and achieve my goal of becoming world champion. I believe I can do that.
Yeah, you always shown that hard determination that no matter who stands up, you're willing to fight them as well. I know in the past, we saw you wearing the Mexican hat, and Mexican fans were able to embrace you when you were here in the U.S., especially in Vegas. And you had mentioned before in the past that you were more Mexican than a Canelo, because obviously, well, he comes from my land as well, that background. Do you have any Mexican fighters that you kind of looked up to in the beginning, or that you emulate your style, as you were growing up in the boxing ranks?
I love loads of them. I grew up watching all the fights, getting up late at night watching all the fights with my father and my brothers. I love the Mexican fight style. I've always said that. And I just wore the sombrero just to pay the respect to the Mexican people. They've been great supporters of mine over the years. And it was a dream to come and fight before him because I grew up watching all these fights on the television, and it was a dream for me to fight in front of him. Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, who was in Munguia's corner. These guys were absolutely brilliant. And Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. in particular, he was brilliant as well. I loved his fights. Love their style. I love the wars. I love the Mexican fight. That's my style, I believe, as well. I fight like a Mexican, and I come to fight and entertain the fans.
Yeah, you definitely always put up a great show. Now we've seen a lot of new talent coming in from Ireland. You have the McKenna kids, you have Michael Collin, you have obviously Justin Quigley, who may or may not be a possible opponent in the middleweight against you, Dennis Hogan, Carl Frampton. What do you make of all this new wave of Irish talents coming out? And do you see any of the big names that may not be known now, but you kind of, those local kids at the gym that you think could be stars down the line?
It's fantastic to see. I think boxing has always traditionally been very strong in Ireland. It's our most successful sport in Ireland is boxing. Olympically, we've only had one gold medal now. Well, two now. Sorry, we've had Katie Taylor more recently, and we had Michael Carew. We've had several world champions in boxing. But there's a lot of good Irish fighters coming through, and I think the future is bright for Irish boxing. There's a couple of guys in my own gym, the Celtic Warrior gym as well. They're very good. They're coming through. I think they call Niall O'Connor. He's good, and got Ray Moyle. He was in a war recently, so he'll be back soon. And we got Craig O'Brien, one of my sparring partners, junior middleweight. He's a really good fighter as well.
Yeah, definitely a lot of talent. I know you mentioned Katie Taylor. I didn't mention her, but obviously great talent. She's definitely one of the best pound female fighters today. We've seen that, the fan base embrace her. Are you friends with Katie Taylor, and how do you see her matchup going against Amanda Serrano if it does take place at some point this year?
I think Katie Taylor is the best female boxer out there, for sure. I think she's brought the line more to the female game, and I think she has to be the favourite going into any fight. So I think she'll win.
Yeah, definitely. She's definitely.
I know her. She's very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice girl. Yeah.
Yeah, very humble, very nice person. Yeah, we had a pleasure to see her a couple times here in the States, and she's always approachable, and she has a large fan base just like you do as well. Finally, if you could have a message to the Irish fans, to the boxing fans, to the Mexican fans of when they can see you back in action, and anything else you want to add.
I hope my next fight will be against Teixeria, and whenever Golovkin are ready to put that fight on, I'll be back. And just stay safe in these times, and try and stay positive. I think is very important. I'm going to a funeral tomorrow of a man that I knew quite well. He's a good friend of mine. COVID got too much for him. He took his own life. I think it's very it's getting a lot of people down. So I think it's very, very important to try and find something to entertain yourself and get a bit of exercise in, and don't be drinking too much, and eat healthily, and go back and watch old fights on YouTube, because there's obviously no fights at the moment. Something I've been doing, and lots of things. If you're into soccer or football or whatever, you can go back and watch lots of fights like that. But I think it's very important for people's mental health to stay positive, and this too shall pass is my favorite saying. This will pass, these times, and just for everybody to remember that and stay positive.
We're looking better for good days ahead. We know it's at some point it's going to go back to a new normal, so we look forward to that. But Gary, thank you so much for the time. It's always a pleasure to see you. We can't wait to get that matchup against Patrick Teixeira. Hopefully it becomes reality, and we look forward to a great fight.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks. Lovely speaking to you, and we'll catch up again.
Definitely. Thank you so much for taking the time for Fino Boxing. Have a good one.
You too.
See you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.